everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're finding me for the very first time, or you are a returning viewer and have not yet done so, please click that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content right here on this channel. So, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is set to be debuting on HBO Max and in theaters starting tomorrow, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that movie. I'm very excited. All the reviews for it have been absolutely great. All the critics and fans who have seen it seem to be, over the moon about it and head over heels in love with this film. So I cannot wait to see what this has in store. So I'll be checking that out probably in the next day or two. But now we have official confirmation that it sounds like James Gunn is not done with DC, even after the Peacemaker series that is going to be a spinoff of the Suicide Squad film. And it sounds like James Gunn will definitely be returning. So let's go over here and check out the news from our friends over at The Direct. Guardians of the Galaxy star James Gunn is returning to DC for another superhero movie. With so little time until the Suicide Squad is unleashed to the public, many early reviewers believe that the James Gunn film is among the best the DCEU has to offer. After making his comic book movie name with the trailblazing Guardians of the Galaxy franchise in the MCU, Gunn found himself with the chance to make a similar impact on the DC extended universe. After 8 years and 11-ish movies ranging in both quality and reception from audiences, Warner Brothers finds itself at a crossroads with the DCEU between a continued attempt at continuity and a soft reboot gamble. They have chosen to do a little bit of both. James Gunn is the man that they have assigned to attempt the later path with the Suicide Squad, and despite not knowing exactly how well it will be received by wider audiences, WB is putting their money all on James Gunn. James Gunn is not done with the DC movies, according to this report. In a recent report from The Hollywood Reporter, DC Films president Walter Hamada confirmed that Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad director James Gunn will return for another DC project. Hamada stated, quote, "He'll be back. We have more stuff planned." The head of DC Films also praised Gunn following his work on the Suicide Squad ahead of its release, saying, quote, "Gunn is always welcome back. Whatever he wants to do. He really has a vision, and he's a great partner with us. Whenever he wants to come back, we're ready for him." The silver-haired director has already wrapped filming on the upcoming HBO Max spinoff to the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, starring John Cena. This is the first time Gunn has been confirmed to be involved in a future DC movie, though. Since its inception in 2013, the DCEU has a void requiring a singular visionary presence, similar to Kevin Feige's role with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The handling of this void has been riddled with controversy and backlash from fans and actors alike. Despite Zack Snyder getting some form of severance with Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max, some fans wonder what could have been had Warner Brothers committed to Snyder's vision for the DCEU rather than pivoting once the ball was in motion. While those fans still fight for Snyder's vision to be played out with the Restore the Snyderverse hashtag movement, Warner Brothers might be looking at another proven visionary to lead their most polarizing IP. This report does not confirm that James Gunn will be leading the charge of the overall narrative of the DCEU after Suicide Squad, but it does ensure that Gunn's presence will continue to be felt. After what he was able to do with Guardians 1 and 2, many were confident that James Gunn was the perfect fit for the soft reboot of DC's Band of Misfits. Despite some concern that Gunn was going to attempt to turn the Suicide Squad brand into an MCU knockoff, he produced a fresh and innovative project while maintaining the core value of Gunn's former films, which is heart. It seems like Warner Brothers and Walter Hamada want much more of that for their IP here with DC. What prevents this from being a fair comparison to the Zack Snyder saga is the amount of control James Gunn has and will surely continue to have over his projects. Snyder was famously handcuffed by the decisions of various executives at Warner Brothers, allowing Gunn to plan, organize, and execute his vision to its highest potential led to a breath of fresh air in the DCEU. Yes, Warner Brothers, when you keep your hands out of it, things improve. While it is highly unlikely that James Gunn will have a Feige-level amount of control on the DCEU moving forward, it seems more likely than not that he will at least be a major influence on the tone and culture of the DCEU for the foreseeable future. This is great news. James Gunn has yet to miss for me. I know a lot of people did not really care for Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. Personally, I laughed my butt off in that theater. I literally came out in stitches. I was in tears. My cheeks hurt. I laughed so hard from that movie, especially the scene where Baby Groot is trying to find this, I think it was, the fin for Yondu, and he comes back and he has a severed thumb. What? I loved it. So I'm expecting a lot of comedy similar to that in the upcoming Suicide Squad film that is directed by James Gunn here. And like I said, all early reviews have been absolutely positive. There's been a few negative. There always is. It's very rare that you find a movie get a complete 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But the last I checked, it was around 98%. So that's incredible if you go by that sort of metric. But I'm just looking forward to seeing where James Gunn is going to take these characters. And obviously, if nothing else, if he's coming back for another DC film, it most likely will be Suicide Squad 3. Now, granted, they're talking like this film has nothing to do with the first Suicide Squad film that starred, Will Smith and Margot Robbie. Now, Margot Robbie and some characters from that film are in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. But they talk like it's not going to really reference the first film. It's not going to continue any storylines from that. It's just going to kind of be its own thing and set apart. But at the same time, when you have characters from the other film, it's kind of in the same universe. So you can't really contradict. But anyway, I hear it doesn't do any of that. So I hear it's going to be just fine. There's nothing wrong with having one-off films that really doesn't tie into the greater universe for sure. And I'm sure that's what a lot of directors want to do. So they aren't handcuffed and tied to other things, so they don't have to worry about contradicting other storylines in the main DCEU timeline. But I think that James Gunn is smart enough to know, after working with the Marvel Studios and MCU story here, I think he kind of knows that there's certain things you can't do with other existing content in the main story. But right now, DC's kind of been in a bit of state of flux. They're kind of waiting until the Flash movie 2022 before they finally get their DCEU timeline and story straightened out. So I think that film is going to do a lot when it comes to setting the DCEU straight. And I think we'll have to see what James Gunn's got up his sleeve after this. I know they originally wanted him to maybe direct the new Superman movie, but he turned that down and got to choose whatever he wanted to choose, and apparently he took the Suicide Squad. So where he could go after the Peacemaker on HBO Max in January of 2022, one only knows, because the mind of James Gunn is absolutely crazy and a weird place to be, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more from that mind. But the real question here is, what do you guys think about the fact that James Gunn will in fact be returning to DC and the DCEU and doing yet another movie for Warner Brothers? Please comment down below. Let me know, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content right here on this channel. And until my next video, guys, take care.
Target.